Okay, everybody, let's get started. I am Ross here at Church Windows, and today's topic I'm going to be showing off some of the enhancements in the membership module that are coming in version 20. This is still essentially a work in progress. Most of the work's been done, but they're still working on adding new things to it. But in general, what you see here is what version 20 is going to look like. We don't have a firm release date for version 20, but we're hoping sometime here within the next month or so to have it out to you guys. With that in mind, let's get started. So click on membership to open it up, and you'll see a new splash screen and everything. They've separated out reports, labels, and email here to make them quicker to get to. So basically, saves you a mouse click or two just to open up your basic reports or labels. We have it existed in the previous version, but here at the top we have the toolbar and the button bar below that has more functionality now. If you guys are familiar with donations and accounting at all, you'll be familiar with the functionality of it. You click on attendance at the top there, and it will give you the different attendance buttons to pick right below. Same with groups and skills, reports, exports, etc. Probably the biggest single difference in version 20 versus older versions is the changing of how the people in the database are organized. Before, there was the members and visitors side of the database. Now they're all kind of grouped together in one people database, and then within the people database you can group people into categories such as members and visitors, or even more now. So let's open up people. Just expand this out some. Alright, so as you can see, it's gotten a big facelift. It looks a lot more like donations and accounting does versus how it did before, but it still has the same basic functionality with just a lot more flexibility to it. So the left side of the screen is still where the individual family where the family information is, so addresses, main label, that sort of thing. Right side is still the individual information. It's just a little bit differently organized before. As I said, there's no more member and visitors databases, but there are categories. So up here at the top of the screen is where you can choose what categories you see. So if I just expand that out, you see I've created we have the members and visitors categories, and you can also create more. So I created a potential category and then an inactive category to better sort the people in your database out. But if you only want to see members when you're going through the list and everything, you can just uncheck visitors, potential, and inactive, click close, and then the only people that you'll see when you click through and next and everything are your members. And you can tell that you're only looking at members because down here at the very bottom where it says showing, it just says showing members. Okay. And we also made it a lot easier to transfer people from one type of category to the next. Say somebody, becomes a, say somebody moves away, they're no longer an active member of the church. Let's just find somebody real quick. Or they have passed away, they are obviously no longer an active member. In this one, since I've created a new category called inactive, I can move an entire family to the inactive category, and they don't show up when I do reports for members and things like that, and they don't clutter up the members category anymore. And you can have as many different categories as you want. There is not a limit to that. Most of you will be familiar with how in the old version there were, they had the different buttons for groups and classes, skills, interests, photo, and things like that. In the new version, they've just changed that to tabs, and it's makes it just a little bit quicker to go through and everything like that. So you can go to groups and classes, tabs for this person, skills, interests, things like that. It's just a little bit more cleaned up version of what was there before. Another change is before you could not have a photo for the entire family. You had to put it on one of the individuals. Now we have the option to put photos for a family. So you could put the family photo here on the left side, and then if you wanted to, you can put individual photos for each person on the right. So you have family photo and individual photo as options now. Another thing they did was they they made it easier to look up people and to find people. Now you no longer have to click find, go to the name column, and search by last name. The person lookup here at the top of the screen is there permanently, and it can do a search for first name or last name, or any part of a name. Before, if you had a John Smith in the database, you can only search by Smith. If you typed in John, it wouldn't show up. But now they've made it so you can do a search by first name or last name in the person lookup. So I can type in, say, Olivia, and it pops up instead of before it would not have popped them up. So you can go to it and it pulls them up. But they still have the find section if you need to do a more specific find to pull up people. So to do that, you just click find up here in the top left, right there where I highlighted. Click on that, and then this will bring up the find window, which, if you're familiar with the reports at all in the current version of Church Windows, it's going to look the same. Essentially, you can any searches you do in reports, you can do the same type of searches here in the find section, and it will bring up the find grid. So let me just do a quick search. Remember, find, and then when I click find, it will bring up the find grid, which again has gotten a facelift to be more visually like the rest of the program. But again, it holds the same information as before. Your mailing labels, and it's essentially still a grid, and everything. You still go to an individual person's record by selecting them so they're highlighted and clicking go to record at the top of the screen, and it will pull them up. So now you can see them looking at the Pompa family. So that essentially, that bit of functionality has stayed the same. It's just been visually updated, and it's a little bit more flexible than it was before. You can more easily move the columns around to better organize it how you want. So like you see, I'm moving the different columns around, and you can also group as well. So I'm going to move this category up one to this gray section up here, and then you can see it is grouping people by a category, and then I can expand that out and know that everybody I'm looking at right here are in the members category, and then everybody I'm looking at in this section are in the visitors category. Close out of that. And then another thing about the people database is it's now sorted in alphabetical order versus the order where people were entered. This will kind of help organize everything and make it easier to find people than it was previously. We also made it easier to add and delete families and individuals. So that's why we have dedicated add family, delete family, add individual, delete individual buttons here at the top of the screen. And then another new feature that we have added is the ability to link people into other households. So one person can be entered in a house, and then we can go to another household and say this person also belongs to this household. It's especially good for children of divorced households now, because now they can show up in both families and on reports for both households. To do that, you would just go to the Other tab on the family side, click Add Existing Person to this family, and then you would choose the person that you want to add to the family. So let me just pick somebody randomly here. So you pick the person, click Add to Family, and close out. And then now when you look at the household, you can see that right here, Eric Bernard has now been added to the family, and this little icon here, the little house with the A, is just telling you that this is an alternate household for this person. And you can click on that household, and it will, or click on that household icon, and it will take you to the primary household for that person. And that's a great way to link divorced households and kids of divorced families, instead of entering them in twice and having duplicate records. All right, and then so that's the main part of the people screen I wanted to show you. Another thing that got reworked was the groups and skills section. It made it a little bit easier to add people and add groups and organize things. So we click on groups and skills, and then the groups button, which is the setup groups and classes. Again, if you're familiar with the old screen, you still have your list of groups and classes and the categories and everything on the left here, and on the right you have the different pieces of individual information for it. So you have your different additional information codes and the like on the right, but it just made it easier to edit the names and the codes and things like that. In the previous version, you couldn't even edit the code of an existing group. You can do that now. But yeah, that is the setup groups classes screen. Assign groups has also been changed. Again, the functionality is still the same. It's just a bit of a visual facelift, and should be just a little bit easier and quicker to use than the old version. So you still select the group and class and add people from the left. Click save and can close out. The advanced groups and classes and skills, interests, and school grade screens all got rewritten as well. So to advance people, you would select you tell the system what you want to do. You select, so you want to advance people from one to the other. Advance selected, and it will go you through, take you through the screens until it shows you all the people who are assigned it and everything. There's no, and then the skills screen. You can enter in the code, the description, and add it here. You can edit existing ones pretty easily, literally just by clicking on it and changing the name to whatever you want to be, and click OK. Oh, that was a error message. I'm going to have to send that to the developers. That can happen sometimes when we're still in beta mode. So let me just click OK, and I'll let them know about that. And the assign skills and interest is basically a different tab on the same screen as the assigned groups and classes. You can go from one to the other. Like in the old version, it's just a little bit more visually appealing to do, I think. And then up here, the reports and export button is where you'll be able to find your birthday report, anniversary report, attendance report, groups, classes reports, your visits reports, and everything. And then when you click on those, you get the option for reports or labels or email within birthday, just like before when it was in the drop down in the center of the section. It's just now at the top. So you just want to make sure you click on reports and export at the top of the screen, and then you can select your birthday report and everything. And then the special function window, settings also got a facelift and everything, and it brought a little bit more information to the screen and everything. So a lot of the options over here on the left are the same, but it made it easier to relabel your different fields. So within the settings windows, where you can change skills interests to say time and talent, like I know a lot of churches want to do that, or if you don't use carrier route, you can change it to something else. Same with geographic area, you can do that there. Go to a different tab, and then you can set the anniversary date to something besides marriage date. And then the attendance options are on this tab. And then the lookup data here is where you can change. So when you're adding an address to somebody, it can automatically say if someone's from Arlington and you type in ARL, it will automatically complete to Arlington without you having to finish it up. Each time you add a new city, it adds it to the lookup to be used to auto-complete in the future. So I can close out of that. Let's see, the advanced grades button. So the advanced grades button is the same as the advanced school grades in the older version. The difference is in the old version it only did it didn't do any, let's see, how do I word this? It didn't, any custom grades you use did not get advanced by the advanced school grades function. Now, however, if you have multiple levels of preschool and things like that, those you can now use those to advance those. Those, and they can be advanced by the advanced school grades option. So you can add new field. I'm just going to call that for preschool, and then now the system knows that that is a field to advance along with all, just as the rest of the fields. And if you want to do college grades as well, you can do the same. So you can create, create freshman as a code and description, move it down by clicking the down arrows, and then now when you advance, anybody who is in grade 12 will be advanced to freshman, or if you have multiple levels of preschool, you can do those as well. That's one of my favorite bits of functionality, because before people had to do their different preschool levels and things like that manually, but now advanced school grades handles all that. And advanced groups I showed you, and then the NCOA is I believe the mass mailing and everything, so that has stayed the same. The last big thing I want to show you today is the customize fields option. This just makes it a lot easier to adjust what fields show up and the different categories, the order that they show up, and if you want to make them required or not. So essentially, this customized fields screen here, you select the category you want to start editing what shows up. So let me just select members. And so the first thing that's going to show up is health record, then status, family relation, include on directory, etc. If you don't want health record as a field, you can either delete it, or if you want to keep it for other categories, you just uncheck visible here on the left, and it has essentially removed it. If we scroll down to the bottom, we can see it is now written in italics, and the visible thing is not checked, and that's just telling the system and that we don't want it to show up as a category or as a field under member. If it's a field that can be deleted, the red minus sign button will be active. If it's a created field within Church Windows or a permanent field, it's grayed out, so you can't delete those. We also have a new type of field called yes, no, and it's essentially like the list fields where you have your different options, except with yes, no, they're already created and it is yes or no. So that could be for, I know some people have created a field called baptized with a question mark, and then with that, obviously the answer is going to be yes or no. And then, so you can create a baptized field with the yes or no as the answers. You can also make certain fields required when adding people. So say, birth date is a really important field for you guys when you add new people to a household or add a new family. If you check this right here under required, when you're adding a new family, if that birth date field isn't filled out and you try and save or leave that screen, it's going to flash and give you a warning saying birth date is not filled out, it's a required field, do you want to fill this out? And then you can fill it out, basically letting people, whoever is doing the entering, that this is information that you need to enter. So let me just close out here, and that is really all I have for you guys today. Let me see if there's any questions. Alright, so Alice is asking if the big find button / icon above the member record screen is the same function as the smaller icon that I just showed you guys. So yeah, so yes, so if I understand you correctly, if I'm in elsewhere in this screen, elsewhere in membership at all, I can always click on people at the top and then click find here, and it will open up the find window where then I can do your search criteria to bring up the find grid. Also, well, she asked if the new directory print templates offer an option to include email address and cell phone numbers in the directory. You know, I don't know if they do. With the rewriting of everything, that isn't something. I haven't done a whole lot of testing yet on the report side. I haven't heard that, but I can pass that along as a suggestion to the developers during the, because they're not quite done yet, so maybe they can add that into it. Kim is asking, so there are members, visitors and members currently have different fields on the individual records. When version 20 begins, will our visitors and members automatically be in a category with those particular fields, or should we be doing something to prep for those changes? No. So when you go from version 19 to version 20, or older version to version 20, during that conversion process, members and visitors, if someone's in the members database currently, they'll be in the members category when they go to version 20. Same with visitors. They'll go from the visitors database to the visitors category, and the individual fields that are visible on each of those databases currently will be how they show in version 20. So everything should stay the same going from the version you're on to version 20. So you don't have to do any prep for that. Hopefully that answers the question there. Any other questions? Okay, I'm not seeing anything else popping in. So I'm going to end this here in just a minute, but again, like I said, this version 20 should be coming out in the next month or so. Don't hold me to that, but that's what we've been told to expect. If anybody came late or anything like that, we will we have this recorded, and it will be put up on our website within the next couple of days. I had another question pop in. Have you made it possible to get a zip code report? That I don't know. I haven't heard yet, so I don't think so. Would be my guess. I will double check with the developers, and then I'm doing a preview of this next week as well. I'll have information for you guys here in the next week or so. But at the moment I don't think so, unfortunately. I'll ask them if that's something they could potentially add. Let's see. But really that is all I have for you guys. So you guys have a good one. Thanks. Bye.